Alright, that means the ad's starting. All right, here we are. Macabre Mondays. The first Macabre Monday in March. Excited to be here. Excited that you're here. We're going to do this thing. We're going to be doing some stories again. You're going to see this is probably going to be a recurring theme here. But we'll probably mix it up every now and then. But it'll be stories from the other stories. And the first story is going to be fantastic, I'm sure. But it will definitely be a cold read for me tonight because I did not have time to pre-read it. So, hey, if you're playing that drinking game where every time I mess up, you're taking a drink, tonight is your night. Maximize those points and opportunities if that's what you're doing. Drink responsibly. I know it's not Whiskey Wednesday, but that's coming up on Wednesday, and I am super excited for this month because I have gotten a ton of responses from the community about interest in getting their first chapters read for free live on Whiskey Wednesday, and they're all going to be great. They're all going to be fantastic. I've read some of the synopsises of some of the stories so far, and they all look super cool, and I'm super excited to get into it. And the cool thing about it is there's such a different variety of genres. It's going to be such an eclectic collection of reads of these chapters, which is great. All the experience and all the exposure that we get to different forms, different genres of writing, and it's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be awesome. I can't wait. But tonight, it is not Whiskey Wednesday. It is Macabre Monday, which means we're gonna read some horror fiction. That's right. So hold on to your pants. Get ready, because it's gonna get scary. That's right. Maybe, I don't know. This first story is called Intermission by Ben Arrington. And, no idea. No idea what it's about. We're going to discover it together. So it's going to be ultra creepy, maybe. So there we go. Mama, how's it going? Thanks for joining the stream again. And then I this time I remembered. You got to shout out the peeps. Go follow Mama there. Has all the stuff there in the channel, and you can just click on it and follow. It makes it real easy. I like that little bot thing from frostytools.com. It's pretty neat. Go follow their channel because they're awesome and amazing, and you should. What are you doing? Should already be following. So, Stories of the Macabre, brought to you by the other stories this week. And probably a lot of the weeks, as I was saying, but we might be mixing that up just a little bit. It'll be horror stories, short horror fiction, or at least little bits of horror fiction. Maybe some sci-fi thrown in there every once in a while. Depends. It'll probably be a blend of the genres. But these are going to be good. So the first one's going to be a cold read. I haven't read this one before, and I don't remember listening to it, although once I get into it, I may have listened to this one before, but we'll see. But the next one will actually be one that I narrated for the... because the other stories is kind of going through and redoing all of their initial stories that they put out when they first started the podcast and getting them re-narrated, reproduced, all that kind of fun stuff. Since now we've been doing it for years at this point. So they'll, a decade actually. A decade. That just put another gray hair right in there somewhere. Did you see it? It just turned when I said that. A decade. It's been a decade. Wow. At least for me. But yeah, so they're getting them all redone. So I've actually redone this one, and the original story is on the copy that I have, but I might have the redone version of it, and I might read that one because that's the newest version of it. So we should read that one, right? So at least the first one will be a cold read called Intermission by Ben Arrington. I can't wait to get into that one. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. I'm going to be chugging some coffee because I need it. Hearthside, how's it going? How is it going? See, I'm remembering to do this now. Remember to just putting that out there. Hearthside, also a fellow narrator. Go check out their channel here on Twitch. And they do the whole long-form audiobook narration thing, and they're really good at it. And this Macabre Monday, right up Hearthside's alley, because I know you like doing the horror. So this is the theme. This one will probably be fairly short tonight too. I think both of these stories are kind of short, and on purpose it needs to be short. Probably all this month because I have an audiobook I need to get done. So after I'm out of here, I'm in the other booth and recording for that. So I need to get that off to Tim, the engineer, and have him work his engineering magic on that. And that should be hopefully done. I should be done by the end of this week. So we'll see. So I'm working on this anthology project. And it's like a whole bunch of public domain stories that a whole bunch of narrators got together, and we're each kind of narrating all of these stories, and they want me to do one more for it. So that'll bring me up to 5 stories in the collection. I need to do that tonight. So I shall be doing that first, then hopping on the other audiobook. It's like I think it's like 10 minutes or something, for this one. So it's a real short one, but they needed somebody to do it. So I'm your guy, right? Let me catch up with chat here and again. And has an amazing voice. Hearthside does have an amazing voice. You should check him out. I'm very excited about the horror story you're about to tell. Absolutely. Man, I had a killer narration day today. Awesome. I got a lot done, and it felt like time flew by quickly. That is amazing. I love it when there's like, it seems like there's certain days, and especially with like certain books I found where I fly through it, and it's so enjoyable. What's really cool with the new like booth that I got is I am excited. I look forward to getting into the booth. It's just like, it's so not like I go in there, I close the door, and it's dead silent, right? All the other noises that are happening, none of that's coming into the booth and getting into the recording and making me stop. Like the biggest thing that interrupts me now is my own noises, where my stomach's like, hey, food. And I'm like, knock it off. I'm narrating. It's like, no, hey, food. I'm like, no, knock it off. I'm narrating. That's what stops me more often than not now. It's not somebody running down the stairs or if the dog barks, sometimes that does come through. But, that's unavoidable to a certain extent. But all the other stuff, like people can do laundry. They can talk really loud because they're all not wearing their hearing aids for some reason. And, it's great. It's fantastic. What I'm trying to say is it's absolutely fantastic. So we're going to get into the booth. I promise. We're going to get there. We're going to get there. As a matter of fact, we're going to kind of go there. And after I catch up with the chat, I love that for you. Dude, it is such a wonderful feeling. Kid has a short story contest every week. And this week I'm doing a Viking romance where the princess falls in love with a slave. That is awesome. That is awesome. Send me a link to the contest if it's still going up. I want to check that out because I know some people that might be interested in that. I'll send it to their way. In a quiet room, that tummy rumble is wildly loud. It is, too. And, like, the noise floor is below negative 70 dB in there. So it's like a mouse farts, and that microphone's picking it up anyways, because it's super sensitive. But it's just so quiet, everything else stands out. Right? Like, I scratch my beard, and I'm like, wow, that's really loud. Anyways, let's read some horror fiction, shall we? Let's do it. Here we go. Did I set that up right? I did. Oh, I forgot my coffee. How could I? That's all right. We can drink more of it when we get back to the desk. All right. Let's set this bad boy up. Boop, boop, boopity, boop, boop. Okay. Get you all situated here. I'll try to keep myself honest with the flubberinos. Get myself one to start with. Let's see. We just got it today. 1K words hosted here on Twitch. Oh, okay. Gotcha. Is that through the same page thing? Is that the same or is it just kind of throughout Twitch? Because I know what's her name was talking about it the other day. Unknown Soul was talking about a certain, and that may just be like word count or something. Maybe something completely different in my mind, but like, let me plug in some power. I ain't got no power. There we go. Now it's on. Cool. So my iPad doesn't die in the middle of this. Perfect. Okay. Turn down some of this music. Nope. This is another. Okay. So I was talking about the May words where we pool our words and beat the million. Ah, okay. I know they were doing something around like the NaNoWriMo time in November of that too. So that's that makes sense. That makes sense. The concept is now familiar. Well, awesome. Okay. Well, let's get into it, shall we? This one's called Intermission by Ben Arrington. I've got used to hiding. I've been doing it for most of my life. Luckily, I'm a nobody. No hobbies or interests, and not a single friend. All I have are my linear days from work to home and back again, eating and sleeping and masturbating and staring aimlessly out of windows and into screens at my sunken eyes in the mirror. I know how it got this bad. I drifted into mediocrity and obscurity, and there was nothing I could have done to stop it. I slipped down into the mundane depths, and I've been wallowing there for years, not enjoying it, which would be ridiculous, but living with it. Not finding it hard to get up in the morning, or to smile at a colleague, or tell the shop assistant to have a good weekend. None of them knew how pathetic my existence had come to be. They wouldn't be interested anyway. If I was hit by a car while crossing a road, my ID left in my wallet at home, or if I died of heart or liver failure on my sofa within those familiar four walls, I'm not sure anybody would notice. I didn't go to the office for 4 whole days once, and I felt nervous about calling in to tell my supervisor that I was feeling unwell, and when I returned, nobody said a word. My payslip was the same as it had always been at the end of the month, and there was no repercussions about my absence. It was like I was a ghost. That's why I felt no fear when I saw the lights again. I heard the voices that sounded like a choir of 1,000 children singing words from an ancient language that I couldn't understand, just like I had the first time. I went to them because I knew that they were calling to me. They remembered me. They'd come back for me. I'd seen them for the first time as a child, when I stood in the garden of the house where I lived with my parents. They hovered still in the sky and pulsated and screamed when they flew off into darkness. They were monitoring me, But after my parents died, they didn't return. Not until my teens, where I had continued to live in the same house, but now with my grandparents, who had thought it was best that I stayed in familiar surroundings after such a terrible tragedy. The lights appeared again, but they looked different this time. It was as if they'd aged a century. It's hard to explain, but the brightness that they had once had that burned my eyes and made my skin feel hot had gone. It was like staring into the eyes of an elderly person with dementia. What was there had gone forever and can never come back. A candle burned out. It was then that I learned they were a beacon. They brought a warning that something awful was to happen. The first time it had been my parents' death, but the second time I didn't want to find out. So I ran, and I've been running ever since. Years upon years had passed, and fear had turned into frustration, and frustration had turned to anger, or something like that. Now the anger is worn away somewhat to something that feels more like curiosity. Why had I been chosen? When the lights returned outside my ground floor flat window, hanging in the sky, finally catching up to me after so long, I felt relief. I suppose I should have been scared. Fucking terrified, in fact. But it wasn't fear that I felt. Not at all. It was an overwhelming sense of calm. Even though I knew exactly what was happening, I knew that I couldn't fight it. I didn't even want to. I could have struggled, maybe even pulled myself free of the restraints, but I didn't. I just stared up into the milky white light and revisited a memory I often would, although I'd usually be staring at a mold-spotted ceiling in the early morning while I did, putting aside trivial worries like what the traffic was going to be like on the way to work, or if I had enough money left in my account to pay my electric bill. The memory was something simple, something my mother had said to me over breakfast one morning when I was thinking about taking a knife to my wrists if I had to endure the punishment of the spiteful at school for one more day. I remembered burnt toast and spilled orange juice in my lap. "I love you, and I'm proud of you. You're a good boy." There was a smell of burning hair and a wet slap that sounded like a flap of skin. It hurt a lot, and I wondered why they hadn't taken me the first or second time they came to me. I must have passed out because when I came back to consciousness, I wasn't lying on the ground or waking up in my bed like any normal day. I was walking. I crossed the street, but the block of flats I once called home had gone, replaced by a much taller white building and an oddly angled glass tower reaching upwards to the clouds. I could see furniture and people within it, peering out from the glass like ants in a farm. It was strange, because even the street looked different, cleaner, somehow. The paving slabs were new, and even the tarmac was the shiny kind of black it usually was when it was fresh, no more than a few weeks old. I looked around for a sign to confirm that I was at my address and not just lost, but I couldn't see one. I could see an enormous curved plasma screen at the side of the street, displaying weather information and stock market stats, which have always been like a foreign language to me. I made it to work on autopilot, not entirely sure if I had made the journey on foot or on the usual bus. When I arrived, I noticed the building had been completely refurbished, everything clean and sterile, white halls and large panels of glass. My office wasn't the same, and all the people working there had been replaced, everybody looking so young. One of them said something about my outfit, and another asked me who I was. They all looked at me like I was a crazy person. At least, they looked at me. The end. Okay. I like that. That is awesome. That was the first read, first read through for me. Cold read. That was good. I like that. That was an awesome story. I love the ending of it. I love shorts so much for that. Like the natural kind of way that a lot of the times they just cliffhang and it just makes at least my imagination go wild. Like, what about this? What about that? What about this? And I love it so much, especially the short horror fiction. It is awesome. Let me see if I can find the other version of this story. I think. Is this it? Maybe? Yes, this is it. So, The Miner's Door by Daniel Wilcox is the next story that I'm going to read here, but I'm going to not read the original version. I'm going to read the updated version of it, the one that was just released on the podcast a few weeks ago, actually. Let me catch up. Centurion, how's it going there, buddy? Listen to that. I mean, go on. Go on. Let me do a shout out here for Cent. He is the #1 black hat wearing Australian streamer that there is. So go check out Centurion's channel there. Absolutely amazing streamer and super, super. Dude, the ending, right? Right? The snappy ending. Yeah. I work really hard to get that twist put in there. My one today was about a deadly gargoyle. Okay, you're going to have to share some of these stories, right? Thank you, sir. You're too kind. Not kind enough. Thank you so much. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. Mama, you're going to have to share some of these stories because we gotta read some of these. They sound amazing. Talk to you into it. All right, let's do it. Let's do it. I even have on Whiskey Wednesdays. What's funny is I read authors' first chapters or a short story, whatever it happens to be, whatever they're comfortable with me sharing, but completely free, right? I do that on Wednesdays. And I normally I put out these posts on social media where I'm like, I spend all this time and effort on it. Like I try to make it look pretty and I put all these little icons in there and I'm like, hey, authors, if you want me to read your stuff for free, yes, it's free. Shoot me your info and we'll get your first chapters out there. And I get barely any responses sometimes. It's weird. But today I was like, I'm just going to type in there, hey, authors, just a reminder, I read chapters for free on live stream. And I have been getting bombarded ever since with authors like, yeah, me. Me, I'm like, what is this? I spent all this time curating these posts, ignored. I throw up an equivalent of a text message you'd send a buddy and people are flocking to it. You know what that means? I need to stop putting so much time and effort into those posts. Just send the text message, right? Right? I don't have such a sexy voice. You have the accent, my good sir. So the Australian accent is one of those things. I'm not even going to try to attempt it because I would butcher the crap out of it. But that's one of those accents that I think are just inherently kind of an attractive accent is the Australian accent. I guess depending on which Australian accent. But more or less, you have that going for you. And I just read the other day, I almost sent it to you. There was somebody looking for an Australian narrator because they had a story that they wrote that took place in Australia and they wanted an authentic Australian accent. I almost sent it to you. I was like, dude, look, this could be your first one. Jump in, man. But somebody snapped it up. People are overstimulated. Yeah, that happens. It's great, but also frustrating. Right, Hearthside? You feel my pain. Hi, man. Yeah. You had the air of popularity with the terse message. He's so busy and everyone else is working with him already. I gotta submit. Maybe that's it. Maybe I'll just put in there I might have one or two openings for, just first come, first serve. Make it sound like, they're going to miss out on all these opportunities. But I just thought it was funny. That's it. Not putting any more focus into it. That's it. Alrighty. I think I read this one on a live stream before, maybe? I've read this like 3 or 4 times, so I can't remember. But anyways, good story. And I do like the rewrite of it. It's just a little tweak. And like even some of the names are different. I think the names are chosen better, like the characters. Not that that matters. But let's jump into it, shall I don't think we're at the risk of any ad, so we're just going to jump into it. Here we go. The Miner's Door, written by Daniel Wilcox. The light of the iridescent doorway danced gently on the boy's face. Somewhere far off, it seemed, he could make out the echoing clang of a pickaxe on rock, regular, rhythmic. "Oi, Sammy, you heard this?" The boy didn't have to look to see Donald's Cheshire cat grin. "What's that?" wheezed Samuel, spluttering into the ring of his fist. The folds between his chins looked sore, blotchy, red. Dislodged dust collected and rubbed between the flesh, creating large brown clods that fell periodically. So far, no pearl. "Hey! Christoph! Hey!" Clang. "Christoph!" Donald's fucking answer me now call. "Carter," the boy replied. "It's Carter." From around the corner, Donald sniggered. Carter couldn't understand. Donald wouldn't be sniggering if he could only see the beauty of what stood before Carter's unblinking eyes. These kinds of opportunities came around once in a lifetime at best, and that was something exceptionally hard for Carter to digest. He didn't want to repeat the words. They sounded ludicrous even to himself. Yet the wall kept swimming, a rippling vertical pool of ocean blue light framed in brown rock. Clang. "Tell Sammy what you just told me," Donald said, tucked around the corner, his words muffled as he raced around the narrow tunnels. Carter's jaw clenched. If only they would come and see for themselves. They might believe him. They'd have to. Then again, it's easy to hide anything in the twisting tunnels that lay miles beneath the Earth's surface. "I've found something," he replied. Though really he just mumbled. All Sammy heard was, Carter raised a skinny arm to rub the salt sting out of his eyes. Still fresh to the job, it would be a while before his body adjusted to the heat. Dust clung to his esophagus and lungs. Tiny fragments of rock stung the soft skin of his palms. Samuel and Donald, on the other hand, they were thick-skinned, used to the temp, dry as bone. "Huh? What'd he say?" Clang. "He says he's found something." Snigger. "Carter, tell him what you found." Carter's eyes swam in the miracle, his words filled with wonder. "A portal." "Huh?" "Say it again." "A portal." "A portal?" Donald snorted laughter, a couple of heads turning their way. Carter couldn't understand it. Why wouldn't they just come and see it for themselves? The roar subsided, replaced by Samuel's heavy footsteps. Though Donald may hold sway over Carter, he was his supervisor after all, it took a lot more to dissuade Samuel from a decision that he made. And this decision was to find out if what the boy was saying was true. Clang. "Holy..." Samuel froze. Even in the milky half-glow of the portal, Carter could see the wonder written in the button eyes sunken into Samuel's face from uncountable years dwelling near the Earth's core. Digging, always digging. "It's beautiful." Despite themselves, they moved closer. The gentle buzz of the blue calling them in siren song. One step closer, and the whirring instantly magnified. A vacuum cleaner's roar growing as it crossed the carpet into lino. Somewhere in the movement of the liquid surface, there was something barely audible, yet altogether distinct. There were voices. "Dawn, you might want to see this. It's beautiful." Samuel reached out a bloated finger to feel the hypnotic droplets. The portal. And that means we're about to get an ad break, so I'm going to stop right here. We'll resume when that's over. so we can find out about this portal. Shall we? Let me catch up on chat. I drop in there. I'm taking one slot for Twitcher name here. First come, first served. Hit my DMs. All right, mama. All right. Yeah, I don't know if you can hear me or not. Probably not. But I'll just shoot you a DM after this and grab that story from. Actually, I think I have you on Discord. I'll probably just hit you up on there. It's probably easier. And we'll go from there. I think I have a story from you already. I'll have to look at that message again, actually, because I can't remember if I was supposed to read that or if I was just reading it for fun. Might have been reading it for fun, but I'll contact you. We'll figure it out. Also, kind of good time to announce, I guess, we can go through different things while we have 28 more seconds of this ad break. Mondays, which is today at 6 p.m. Pacific time, which is when I started. We have Macabre Mondays, where I read short horror fiction or just horror fiction in general. Wednesdays is Whiskey Wednesdays, and that is also at 6 p.m. PST. You're going to notice a trend here, a pattern. And that's where I read authors' first chapters for free. And then on Thursdays, we have Throwback Thursdays, where I read some public domain stuff. And I'm going to try to record that at the same time and then put that up on LibriVox for those that are sight impaired. Because it's a good cause, and might as well. Might as well kill two birds with one stone, right? Read something kind of cool and put it out there for a good cause. So, all right, I think the ad break is over, so we can continue and see what Carter found in the tunnel and figure out more about this mysterious portal. Samuel reached down a bloated finger to feel the hypnotic droplets. The portal, more like a door than any sci-fi portal Carter had ever imagined, reached back, puckering at the point in which Samuel's finger aimed to reach, clinging and quivering with its own ethereal energy. Only an inch away now, quivering. Clang! A calloused hand grabbed their collars and threw them onto the hard ground. Small dust mushrooms puffed in front of their faces. Donald now stood silhouetted in the doorway, drinking in the beauty, the edges of the structure impossibly straight against the rough-hewn rock in which it found its moorings. The cerulean hue seemed to shift and transform in an iridescent light show that glittered on the faces of the three, melting into an angry red. It was almost as if it knew it was about to be violated. The clang of hundreds of other miners carried on, oblivious to the discovery. Donald's discovery, their supervisor's eyes seemed to say, as he passed a hungry look to Carter, the boy who hadn't been lying. As Donald turned back to the portal, the voices grew. Through the swirling galaxies that formed the portal's body, he could almost see them. Following the voice of instinct, Donald drove his head forward into the pool and felt a thick, cooling sensation pass over him. Samuel and Carter rose, rushing towards Donald's headless form. Taking a shoulder each, they heaved backwards, dragging him slowly back to their side. His neck returned first, then his ears, until finally his head returned with a satisfying pop. "Shit," he managed to gasp, somehow managing to appear as though he'd walked through a waterfall, yet was as dry as bone. He looked to the others with far-off wonder in his eyes. "Boys, raise the alarms. We found something big." Carter gasped and took a step back. Samuel followed suit, both of them withering under the dark, manic glee on Donald's face as his pupils continued to dilate, stretching past his irises until every speck of white was lost. The end. Ooh, they found a portal. They did. What's on the other side? We'll never know. This one's a good one, and I like the way this one ended. And it's just so good. And it's not very long, too. It's maybe 2 pages, maybe like a 10-minute story, maybe 15, maybe. But so good. Tells a whole story in just that little bit. Just Really, really, really good writing. And it's from one of the creators, Daniel Wilcox of the Other Stories podcast, that horror podcast out of the UK I keep talking about. That you're probably seeing on the side down there. Highly recommend check them out if you're into this kind of thing. And then you can hear this story fully produced, sound effects and music, and it's a good time. Team's really good at what they do, so you won't be disappointed if you like it. So you guys like it? I like this story, but I'm a little biased. Shut the front door. You make great selections. Yeah, I mean, honestly though, Mama, it is hard to pick wrong with the Other Stories stuff. It's just, I guess, the nature of what they attract. Because they write a lot of their stuff, especially like a lot of this will probably be written by Luke or Daniel, the two creators of Hawk and Cleaver and the Other Stories. But they take submissions too from the community. So if you have some short horror fiction you want to submit that fits whatever their category is for that month, they'll take submissions, right? And they get lots of them. So they get the privilege, I guess, of kind of going through and like selecting out, the stuff that they want to pick. And I've known them too to like pick out a story and find something like, ooh, you know what? We should redo this one and, whatever. And they'll work with the writer to kind of make it like really good too, in some cases. So I've heard or I've seen that kind of going back and forth sometimes, but not that really, I don't think probably much of them need much, but I don't really get in a lot of detail from that side. I kind of just, hey, here's a story. You want to narrate it? I'm like, yeah, let's go for it. Let's do it. So that's usually the side of it that I'm on. So, but no, I haven't narrated a single story for the Other Stories that have been like, nah, this sucked. And I don't know. Maybe, different strokes for different folks, I guess, and what you like in terms of short horror fiction. But they've all been good. I don't know. And their themes that they pick out are good too. We had a whole month of just octopus stories, and every single one of them was different and fantastic. And the sound design was amazing on all of them. So it's just good stuff. Check them out, I guess is what I'm trying to say in a long-winded kind of way. Let's go back to the desk because it's a little bit cooler over there, shall we? What's that button? So cramped in there. All right. Same way with covers. Oh, it's for a bunch of stories. What are they about? Things in a fridge. Okay. Yeah, I'm reading off of, they have like a collection of short stories that I just asked them, like, hey, you have a collection in here, and instead of like rooting through and trying to just pick out from like the massive list of stories that are in there, can I just read them off the collection? And they're like, heck yeah, please do. So it's all off of their actual published collection of short stories. And I will grab the name of it here in a moment. Should know the name, but like when you're on the spot, I can't remember a darn thing. So everything flies out the window and I don't know anymore. And of course, I label documents that are really helpfully named. The Other Stories, short stories. Fantastic, Justin. Good job. Come on. Oh, I need to contact them about that too. I did their very first audiobook and it is terrible. So if you're listening, either one of you, Daniel, Luke, I'm sorry. Let's redo it. And let's redo it way better. All right. What is the name of this collection? Tell me, what is the name of your collection? Oh, it's okay. Well, that's why. It is literally called The Short Stories of the Other Stories. There you go. Like, what is it called? It's literally called what you just said. That's good. That's good. Yeah, there's nothing else. Yeah, that's literally the... There you go. The other stories. The short story collection. There we are. All right, so what's coming up next? Next on Wednesday, 6 p.m. PST, is Whiskey Wednesday, where I'm going to read an author's first chapter, and we're doing that all month. Last month we did the poetry thing. That was kind of a special thing, but I now have, thankfully, several months lined up of first chapters of stories, because I sent a text message, and that's how it works, I guess. So that'll be awesome. And the ones that I was kind of talking about this in the beginning, the ones that I've just briefly glanced through, like the synopsis, they all seem like we're going to have some good stuff and a good mixture of stuff. There's one that looks to be like a dark romance, I think, that might be coming through. There's one that's a young adult that is, I guess, might be... He said it had some RPG elements in it, so I'm wondering if it's going to be more towards lit RPG style. I don't know, but it kind of sounded like maybe it was going to go that way, which would be really cool, because I just got into lit RPG and trying to figure out that whole genre, and I just, what is it? It's like a really popular one. I just listened to the first and the second one of it. It's like one of the most famous lit RPG audiobooks. Why can't I remember the name? Because I can't remember anything. So I'm looking at Dungeon Crawler Carl, and it is fantastic. Which made me want to jump into even more lit RPG. So I found one called Overpower Wizard, which is what I'm listening to now. But so I'm getting into the genre. So if it's one of those, I'm super excited about narrating that with the RPG kind of elements in it. I've been finding that really fascinating to listen to and learn the little nuances of it. So anyways, that might be coming soon on a Wednesday, Whiskey Wednesday. Soon, maybe. I don't know when that's going to be, but he might be up first. We'll see. And then Throwback Thursday, which I need to get on the top of that and sign up for the LibriVox account so that we can do that. I guess I don't have to have an account before we start recording. We just start recording. But we'll be recording a book on Norse mythology, all about the Norse gods and all that kind of stuff. So I think that'll be personally for me, that'll be really fascinating because I love that kind of stuff. I don't know too much about it, but I really like the show Vikings, if you've ever seen it. So I'm in, yeah, give me some Loki. He's one of them, right? And some Odin. That's one, right? I'm butchering this, aren't I? I'm showing my lack of knowledge in this. But after we finish that book, we'll be fully knowledgeable. So we'll know. And that's it. And then we'll cycle, rinse, repeat for the following week after that with Macabre Monday, Whiskey Wednesday, and Throwback Thursday. There you go. If you're here tonight, or if you're watching on YouTube now or later, hi. Thank you so much for watching. I will be finding somebody, if you're on Twitch here, let's find another reader on Twitch if we can. And if we can't, we'll throw it over to an author and give some love in the category, because that's what we should do, right? So I'm going to find one here, and we'll go over there. So I'll leave you with a little bit of music and an out screen here. I'm going to find someone that we can raid into, and then I'll see you all Wednesday for Whiskey Wednesday. I'll see you all then. Bye-bye.
Welcome in, Extendgrim. How you doing today, good sir?